Hello, my name's Sue Lewis and I'm going to explain how you can use this pack of green resources in the SEND context. So I work within the Career Pilot team and we were commissioned by the West of England Combined Authority to design materials for use within mainstream contexts but also within SEND contexts. And we've checked these out through a focus group with colleagues from different SEND environments. I hope you find these resources useful. So I'm just going to take you through them, but just be aware there's notes against each of the resources as well. So all the things I'm saying are also annotated to the notes. What I've done here is given you a sort of summary of the different slides that you'll see and a little bit of a description about the sort of activity you could do. Really use them whatever way is useful to you. You might want to spend a whole session on one particular slide. That's absolutely fine. Just use whatever is useful in your particular context. So let me run you through what's in this particular pack. So we start off by trying to help students to understand what it is about what being green means. So we show them this and all the notes will tell you to click to get the answer. So yeah, what is this? This is the earth, and click again, but not just us living in the earth, but all the other things as well. So you might want to pause at this point to talk about endangered animals or species and have a conversation, maybe make a list of all the ones people have heard about. So the question is, how can we all work together to look after these things? And it might be your students already got some ideas, they might be doing things already, they might have seen things happening. So it's a good idea to make a sort of list of all those things to explore that topic. So this is what being green is really, looking after the planet. So everybody, all the birds and the trees and the humans, have got a healthy place to live going forward. But what needs to happen in order for that to be the case? Then, the job is to look after the planet. So that means that every country needs to be thinking about how they could be more green. And then every area of the country needs to think of that too. And it's worth explaining here that the students live in the West of England area, because the West of England's got some ambitious targets for being more green, more ambitious than the national government. So West of England's a good place to live if you're thinking about engaging with the green agenda. But it's not just about the country, the local area, it's also about us as individuals being more green. And this task is an opportunity for students to think about things they're doing already that will help. It's about them being more green, or things they could do in the future. So you can sort of lead that discussion, see if they've got some ideas of things that they personally can do to be more green. And then you can click again to get some ideas that we've propped up there, and they might have other things too. So it might be worth talking through these to see if they've been aware of these things as contributing to the green agenda. You can also do an activity to get students to be a green spy or spies, where they can think about the school environment or their local community and think about whether they've already seen any evidence of green activity happening in those different environments. It might be they've seen some of these things, people growing their own vegetables or electric buses, for example, and there might be other examples too. So that could be a whole topic of discussion. And to go with this, there is a task sheet, so you could print off this slide, and as a teacher you could organise a group activity where they go around the school or the community and spy things that are helping to be more green, like recycling bins or growing your own vegetables or electric vehicles or whatever it might be. And then we go on to try to explain how you can actually be green in any job you do. And we give some examples of things you could do to be green in any job. You could use public transport or cycle or walk to work. You could use a cap that's recyclable, you can use again. You can reduce or recycle anything that is possible to do that with. Use green products, save energy, lights and water, or other things as well. Those are just examples. So students can at this point as a group pick a job and think of some of the ways that that job could be more green. So we put a few examples in there. Jobs hopefully the students know a little bit about: cleaner, a hairdresser, canteen worker. But you can pick whatever you choose. And there's a little task sheet for this too. So the question is, how can a person be more green in this job? So if you're a hairdresser, what could you do to be more green? Well, you could get the bus to work, you could take your own sandwiches, you might use shampoo that's better for the environment than some other things. And we have a whole suggestion of things that a hairdresser could do to be more green in the notes. We also do the same for canteen worker. There's also a task sheet where you can actually add your own job. So there might be something your students are familiar with, and they could be thinking about how that person could be more green in their job. Then we go on to talk about how there are green jobs, and the reason they're green jobs because they're directly helping the planet. We put a few examples in here: gardener, recycling operative, forester, animal care worker, and there might be other ideas as well. And we put a few suggestions in the notes as well, like bicycle repairer or farmer, for example. Then we have a little sort of wrap-up quiz you can use. So if you've done all these activities, this might be something you could do at the end. Can you remember what you personally have to do to be more green? Can you remember what you spotted in the school or the community? And maybe an example of, how does a gardener have to look after the planet? So that might be in part of your discussion, going through each of those green jobs and talking about their role in terms of helping the planet. We also have a set of posters. There's 10 posters that are specifically aimed at the SEND audience, and they're jobs that hopefully are realistic progression routes in some contexts. And what they explain is why that job is green and helps the planet, and what you need to think about if you wanted to get into that job. For example, you might need to like working outside. We also show the skills that would be useful in that job. These posters are available as a link to a PDF of the 10 posters. We also have a set of 20 posters that are mostly aimed at mainstream schools, but you'd be very welcome to use them. And these pick up on some of the jobs that have been identified in the West of England area. They're going to grow on our green, and for each one we try to explain the routes into them, and again mention the skills that a person would need in order to get into those jobs. So you could use those as well, and they're available as a separate link to a PDF file as well. So I hope you enjoy using the resources and you find them useful. We'd love to know how you find them. So if you get a chance to send us some feedback, then you can send it to careerpilot@bath.ac.uk.